everybody, thank you for watching my video up to this point. I just want to give you an update on the build for my Kyosho Javelin, as you can see in front. So here is the Kyosho Javelin, is approximately, I'd say about 80% complete. I've just recently built the shocks, the front and the rear shocks. I decided to go with the oil I got kicking around here is 70 weight, which is a little bit on the high side, but I like the just how the dampening it has for that weight. I think it's suitable for this off-road buggy. And so I still have the electronics to install. So far installed the servo. Again, I have just a kind of a generic servo kicking around, so I put it in there just recently. And for motor, I've decided to go, since it is a Kyosho, I've decided to put, I'm gonna put in a Kyosho, vintage Kyosho Le Mans 240 ST, which would have been roughly the same era that this buggy would have came in. I'm not sure if this one here came with a 240 ST, but I know certain Kyosho Optima, like the Optima Mid for example, comes with the 240 ST, and some Kyosho Ultima. So it's roughly the same vintage, and it's something that will give enough power, not too crazy fast and not really slow. And for receiver, just went for something modern. It's kind of like a knockoff of a Spectrum. Will work for my Spectrum DX4R transmitter. And I also like the compact size because there's not much room to put the receiver in this car here. Once it's all built, it's going to be pretty tight. And so I have this speed controller kicking around as well. This brush speed controller would definitely be able to handle the motor that I put in, and it's also Lipo compatible, which I'm planning to run a 2S Lipo for this off-road buggy. Here I have, this is the original driver that I did about a month ago. Before I could start building the car, I decided to do the buggy. A lot of times I decide to paint the buggy, the body, or both the driver and the body. In this case here, this buggy here, one thing I like about it is it does not have a Lexan body. It just has a roll cage, so you don't have to paint it. And I decided, instead of go for the orange, I decided to go for the optional black, because I think it, in my opinion, probably looks better in black. I'm not crazy about the orange. And for tires, I'm gonna put these tires on instead of the tires and wheels that it comes with. I find the wheel and tires that comes with it's a little bit too wide, and it looks a little bit on the big side for this buggy, so I decided to go for something a little more narrow and a little bit smaller than what came with the kit. And I don't know, I've got this driver that I've recently painted, and I think I may go for this driver instead of this guy here. And I just like this one here looks a little more realistic. This one here looks kind of, I'm not too crazy about this guy here, but anyway, but this one here is kind of nice because your receiver, once you mount it here, it's hidden, so there's a lot of room here to hide the wires and your receiver. So the last thing I want to mention is I really enjoy the build of this Kyosho Javelin. It's relatively straightforward. However, I did made a couple of mistakes while I was building it. It wasn't that obvious. It's actually my first build involving chain drive. I built belt-driven car before, but this kit here actually comes with the optional belt drive as well, so you could do belt or chain. So I decided to do chain drive, just because I don't have any other car in my collection that has chain drive, and I just want to see how it performs. I know it's not as great as belt drive, not as durable, and it's probably likely make more noise, but I just like the vintage aspect of it because Kyosho first released chain drive before they went to belt drive. So what I made a mistake here, which it wasn't too obvious for me during the time of the build, because I thought the chain, just as long as it goes over the gearing mechanism, that's fine. However, as you can see on this page here, page 9 of the build, the chain has to be oriented in this way here, where the link, the hoop, I guess, around the link is pointing forward. So this would be the front, this is the back. I had it just the opposite. And I don't know why it has to be like this, but when it was built opposite, like when I initially built it, it was harder to turn. The wheels, when you do this, it wasn't smooth. It felt some type of friction, which is kind of weird. It's it didn't feel right. So I had to take, well, I was about not quite this far, but I had to take the front and rear gearbox apart and whatever was in the way. I had to take the chain out and turn it pretty much inside out so that it is oriented in this fashion here. And then once I did that, put it back together, it became smooth like this. It was a little bit of pain, but that's why I think it's important to carefully read the manual before you build. So I was a little bit anxious, and I didn't thought about just the chain orientation had to play a role with this, but it did. Anyways, thanks for watching. I will finish building this kit probably by today, and I will continue with my video. Thank you. Here's the finished product. So as mentioned earlier, I decided to go with these wheels. They're RC4WD wagon wheels, and Baja, what it says here, MTZ tires from RC4WD. They're 1.55 and they seem to fit really good. So I've decided to go with the original driver, mainly because it's hiding the receiver and it fits in nicely with this body. And installed a 2S Lipo battery, 5000 milliamp. And for motor, I went ahead, I decided, just because I didn't feel like soldering the wires, this is already ready to go. It's a Reedy modified motor. I believe it's probably around 19 turn or lower. So this thing should move pretty quickly, not ridiculously fast like brushless system, but fairly quick. And I mean, the rest is pretty much stock. I mentioned that I want to go with the optional black frame or black body, because I find it looks better than orange in my opinion. It looks more realistic. One of the standard servo, and electronics pretty much standard. Nice thing, the car does come fully equipped ball bearings. You need to upgrade it. It has really decent shocks. It works really good. So I went for the chain drive option instead of belt. Now if you want better performance, belt is the way to go, but I just want to have more like a vintage feel and look to this buggy, so I went for the chain, because back then it would be chain drive that and then you could get the optional belt drive, but it does come standard with chain drive. So it's all plugged, ready to go. It's currently raining right now, so I won't be able to run it today. Electronics are not waterproof. Once it's nice, I'll take it for a quick run. But I bench tested, everything works really good. Servo, speed, that's quite a lot of speed. Brakes, reverse. So you can see the ballooning in the tire, right? So that's it from the video. Thanks for following this build. I'd like to possibly do some more build in the future as time permits. I think the next logical progression would be the reissue Kyosho Ultima, which I bought about a month ago, and I'm anxious to get that started. Alright, thank you for watching.